Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today we'll talk about these guys. Filter papers in the bottom of your basket. Is it worth it? Does it make your coffee taste better? Let's get into it. So first thing, obviously, I'm probably like you guys, you know, with the likes of WDT, RDT, weighing coffee before, weighing it after, collars, tampers. It's just taking longer and longer to make that shot in the morning. And if you're like me, you're trying to make a shot before work at like 5:45, you don't want to faff about having to do all these extra bits and pieces. So I know the filter paper sort of hack came about quite a while ago. Basically for anyone who has a basket which has a smaller, not necessarily a smaller diameter, but on these baskets, they don't, basically the sidewalls come in. I don't know how well you can see that on there, but these baskets basically, firstly, are not straight. They're angled as they come down, and also they don't have holes all the way to the edge at the bottom. So with that, coffee is basically at those edges under extracting, you could say, or potentially over. So to alleviate that, someone came up with the idea of putting a piece of paper in the bottom of the basket. Now what that helps to do is basically take the water and push it to the edges. So effectively you get a faster flowing shot. So the general rule is if you've got one of the more fancy expensive baskets like the S-Works basket or the Weber Workshops basket, you don't need the filter paper. But if you've got what I call a poor man's basket, so this is the Pullman 7 something, 1.8 or something, or you've got VST, IMS basket, the baskets that are like 20, 30 pounds, then it's always recommended to put a piece of paper in the bottom. Now, these come in various guises. You can get, these are 54mm size. I'll link the ones that I got below. If you want to check them out, I got about 400 for about £5-6, really inexpensive. You can obviously go for the more expensive ones. You can go for like the Weber Workshops. I think they're something like £8-9 for about 100. So a lot more expensive. Are they any better? I'm not sure if you're just getting a bit of Weber Workshops tax there or not. But these, I would say they're slightly small. I don't know how really well you can see that if I put my finger up to it. They just don't quite come to the edges. So they cover all the holes just. As I say, these are a 54mm. You probably, a 55 would probably be perfect. But obviously, they're doing the job. Now, you can run them, I guess, wet or dry. But if you're like me, and you are someone who obviously doses into there, if you're dosing directly into the portafilter via your potential whatever type of grinder you've got, if you can do that, then great. But if you've got something like a niche or I have this T64, you can use forks, but I use a cup. You know, usually what you'll do is you'll have your coffee and you won't obviously tip your coffee in, you'll tip your portafilter in. Well, the chances are, if you've not wet the basket, not wet the paper, sorry, you're gonna lose it. So what we'll do is now, I'll just take you through a routine of how I use them and then I'll wrap up my thoughts. I've been using them for about a month or so now and I'll tell you what I think about them. So to take you through from start to finish, firstly, obviously, grind your coffee. I'm using a Kenyan from Horsham Coffee Roasters. Now, there's different ways you can go about this. Generally speaking, with the filter paper, you will speed up the shot. But by it being a little bit faster, you will obviously give you a little bit of increased extraction. We don't go into that in this channel, but basically it tastes a little bit better. So you can do two things. Like I say, keep your grind size the same. I found that with the hack that I use on the Sage dual boiler, so I'll link that above if you've got a dual boiler and you use it. We've got 60 seconds with an 87 pump pressure. I find that I'm probably in the region of about 3 seconds-ish faster with the filter paper. If I do the normal grind size and I go to just full pressure, so I do like an 8-second pre-infusion and then I let it ramp up, it's more like 5 to 6 seconds faster. So what I'd say is get yourself some papers, play around with them and see what tastes better. So what we'll do is we'll take the portafilter out. There's a filter paper in there as you can see, but it's dry. So really for me, there's two ways to wet it. We can either use the steam wand if you're going to be having a milky drink, or you can just do a quick tap of the pre-infusion button, you get a little bit of water, look, and then you can drain the rest of that out, and there you go. And then you can basically move it around. Now what you'll find is, look, you can see there's that little bit of water at the bottom. So what I like to do is just grab anything like a tea towel or whatever, just tip it upside down, get that drip out, and then just round the edge, just sort of wipe the water away, the excess water. And the reason I do that is because I've noticed that obviously you tip the portafilter up onto the basket, and what I was finding is some of those drips were then dripping down into my catch cup for the grinds, and then they weren't all coming out. So we'll do the usual thing, we flip it over, quick shake to level it. See, there's a little bit of water that's dropped, you can't see, but there you go, look, that's clean. So we've got all out there. Right, so now we move over obviously to the more put prep. Now what you do have to be careful of if you WDT, especially if you're manually WDTing, careful you don't go too deep, because you can sort of feel the paper as you're moving it around. Now when you've got the paper dry, I have trialed that, you've got much more chance of it lifting. But if you're a little bit, let's say, overzealous with the WDT, you'll find that you will pull up the filter paper. And I've had it before where when I've tamped, you can actually see the paper obviously has been screwed up and it's come at the top. So you will sort of see, if you're not careful, like a little bit of filter paper there, and you know obviously you've sort of messed up. But yeah, as long as you're careful with your WDT, you shouldn't have a problem. And if you're using like an automatic one, then if you set the depth just above, absolutely perfect. So now we're all set up, let's pull a shot. So that's risen straight to 9 bar. As you can see, it's a little bit messier. So we're going to pull a 18 in, about 40 out. And that was 28 seconds. So there we have it. Let's just remove the coffee. We'll give that a quick stir. Some nice new cups, look. What do you reckon? Let me know in the comments. Do you like them? So yeah, instantly we've got a little bit better clarity there. The acidity is a slight bit punchier. I guess it's one of them things where it just feels like everything is just leveled up a little bit. Like everything's notched up, so the acidity's come up a little bit. The clarity has come up a little bit. The body and texture is about the same. The acidity is nice as well. You know, I just think for what it takes, for the cost as well, especially if you're like me running a poor man's basket, I really do think these are worth it. It definitely makes your shots more enjoyable. Apologies for the dog barking in the background. But yeah, it definitely makes everything more enjoyable, and I think you really should invest. 1 second. Molly! There we go. You know, I really think for the price of them, obviously for me, I'd probably steer away from the Weber ones. I think, you know, there's a bit of a tax there. How different can they be? It's just a bit of filter paper at the bottom at the end of the day. But yeah, an easy hack, one that's not going to really cost you anything, nice and simple, and I think it definitely improves your espresso. If you were just a milky drinker, I do think again it does help, and it does make for a better tasting espresso in that milky drink. But again, the benefit is not as much because you obviously add in milk. The big benefit for me is in pure espresso. It does really make an enjoyable shot. But as ever, it doesn't really matter whatever tips and tricks you're doing. You need good roasted coffee, and you need a good grinder first. But as ever, guys, thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. And one last thing, so I forgot to mention it, actually makes the basket a lot easier to clean because there's no coffee on the bottom. Bit like a puck screen on the top keeps your shower screen clean. Paper on the bottom keeps your basket clean. There you have it.